AI is taking over the world. Well, not literally yet, but if you're aiming to be an AI product manager, you are stepping into one of the most hottest and fastest growing tech roles today. The catch is cracking these interviews isn't easy. Companies are actively looking for people who understand AI as well as the business strategies so that they could deploy real world products. So how do you prepare for such interviews? Well, it's simple. Today at K21 Academy, we're breaking down 10 must-know interview questions that would make or break your chances of landing the role. And trust me, you want to stick around because these aren't textbook questions. These are actual real questions that hiring managers ask. And before we dive in, make sure to watch till the end as we have a free gift just for you. So let's start. So let's dive into the first question, which is tell me about yourself. Now, this might seem simple, but it's actually a golden opportunity to set the tone for the entire interview. Think of this as your elevator pitch. It's not just about sharing your background, but it's about framing your story in a way that aligns with the AI product manager role. So what is the purpose of this question? So why do interviewers even ask this? Well, they want to see three things. First being your professional journey, how your experience has prepared you for this role, even your communication skills. Like how can you present yourself clearly and concisely? And eventually your motivation. Why are you passionate about AI product management? So here's a simple framework to structure your response. So start off with your background. Give a quick snapshot of your professional journey and make sure to focus on what's relevant to AI product management. Also showcase your achievements. Share specific examples that demonstrate your impact. And then you could end with your motivation. Why you are exactly excited for this role and the company. So let's break this down with an example. So imagine that you are an AI product manager with 7 years of experience. So you could frame your answer in a way that I've been in the tech industry for over 7 years, starting out as a software engineer, specializing in Python and machine learning. Over time, I realized I wanted to be at the intersection of technology, business, and user experience, which led me to transition into the AI product management. Today, I'll be focusing on building AI-powered solutions, particularly in the space of large language models. Then you could highlight your skill. You could say something like, what I bring to the table is a strong ability to bridge technical, business, and user perspectives. I thrive in fast-paced environments, solving complex problems and driving measurable business impact through AI. And then you could list down your key achievements. So you could frame your answer in a way saying that some of my key achievements include launching AI products that were optimized for specific business needs, leading cross-functional teams of engineers, data scientists, and business stakeholders, and managing product roadmaps that prioritize features based on user needs and company strategy. Then you can talk about why you're excited for the role. So you could frame your answer in a way that I'm really excited about this role because it combines my passion for AI with my love for building products that solve real-world problems. I'm eager to bring my experience and skills to your team and contribute to the mission. Then you could include one of the company's mission or goal. So notice how this response is concise, focused, and tailored to the role. It's not just a list of facts, it's a type of story that connects your past experience to the job that you're applying for. So just make sure to be concise, aim for 1 or 2 minutes, don't just ramble. Try to tailor your answer, like focus on experiences and skills that are relevant to the role. And then you could end with enthusiasm, show that why you are excited for the role and the company. Remember, this is your chance to make a strong impression, so practice your answer until it feels natural and confident. And that's it with this framework. Alright, so let's move on to the next question. Imagine that you're asked to describe a project where you built and launched an AI-powered internal knowledge assistant. This is a great opportunity to showcase your technical expertise, problem-solving skills, and your ability to deliver business impact. So let's break it down step by step. First, you need to set the stage. So start by explaining the problem that you are solving. For example, you could say the problem statement as, at my previous company, employees were struggling to find relevant documents, insights, and case studies. The existing search tools relied on heavy keyword matching, which is often missed in the context of what people are looking for. This led to time-consuming manual searches, which really hurt productivity. That's when we decided to build an AI-powered internal knowledge assistant to solve this specific problem. Next, you could give a high-level overview of the solution. Just keep it simple and focused. So you could say something like, we developed an AI-powered internal knowledge assistant using large language models. The system ingested data from internal documentation like Slack, emails, and client reports, and it allowed employers to search using natural language, providing accurate and context-aware responses. Over time, the system learned from user feedback to improve its overall performance. Framing your answer in a way shows that you understand the big picture and you can communicate it clearly. Now let's dive into the key steps it took to build the solution. Now you could break it down into 4 parts. The first one being model selection and fine-tuning. So you could say something like, we started by experimenting with GPT-4 and fine-tuned a domain-specific model. We used proprietary and open datasets to train the model on company-specific terminology. Overall, to enhance accuracy, we applied reinforcement learning from human feedback, which is called RLHF. Next, you could head over to performance optimization. Now, to make the system efficient, you could say that we implemented vector embeddings using the FAISS for document retrieval. Then you could also say we used prompt engineering to structure responses and applied retrieval augmented generation and response caching to reduce hallucinations. Then you could talk about the user testing interactions. You could say something like that we conducted multiple testing rounds across departments to refine the system. Based on feedback, we improved the UI UX and search ranking algorithms, and we also introduced a confidence scoring system to handle uncertain responses. Then you can finally talk about the deployment and adoption. You could say that finally we integrated the assistant into Slack and Microsoft Teams for seamless use. We provided training to employees to ensure smooth adoption and monitor the performance using AI observability tools like weights and biases. Now, this step-by-step breakdown shows your technical depth and the ability to execute complex projects. Then always end with results. Highlight the key business impact to show that you actually delivered value. Now, I could say something like the results were significant as we saw a 30% reduction in time spent searching for information. Accuracy also improved from 60% to 90% within 3 months, and that employees found a system that is more reliable, leading to increased adoption. Eventually, you could say that we scaled the system for client-facing use cases. Now, this overall demonstrates that you're not just building cool tech, but you're actually solving real business problems. So to summarize, always start with the problem, like try to clearly explain the pain point that you are solving, and try to keep the solutions overview simple. Avoid getting too technical at this stage. Then you could slowly break down the steps, and then highlight the overall impact. Eventually, focus on aspects that align with the role that you're interviewing for. And that's how you could confidently explain a project like building an AI-powered internal knowledge assistant. It's all about telling a clear, structured story that showcases your skills and impact. Now let's move on to the next question. Now this overall question is, how do you select the right LLM model for a business use case? Now this question is, if the interviewer is asking you, are there any specific reasons for picking that specific model over the other models? What other models did you consider? So this could be a follow-through question based on the last one, as we said in that answer that we used GPT-4. So the interviewer might just be trying to ask if you considered other models. Now, this is a critical question because the model selection can make or break your AI application. It's not about just picking the most advanced model, it's about finding the one that aligns with your business needs. So let's break it down. We'll talk about why model selection is critical. So when building an LLM-based application, the model you choose must align with your business goals. For example, do you need high accuracy and contextual understanding? Is scalability and cost a concern? And what about security and compliance? Now, a structured approach to evaluating the models is essential to ensure that you're making the right choice. This is where you need to balance technical capabilities with business requirements. So since we chose ChatGPT over the other models, we'll explain it using an example. So imagine that you're building an internal knowledge assistant and you need to choose between several LLMs. Here's how you might explain your decision to go with ChatGPT. So you could frame your answer in a way that after evaluating several models, we chose OpenAI's GPT-4 because it's the best meat for our business needs. Here is why. So you could begin with accuracy and language understanding. GPT-4 excels at understanding complex queries and providing contextually accurate responses. Then you can talk about the fine-tuning capabilities. You could say that GPT-4 supports few-shot learning, which reduced our training costs significantly. Then you could talk about performance and latency as well. You could say that as an interactive chatbot, we needed fast response times, and GPT delivered on that regard. Then you could break down the scalability and cost. You could say that GPT-4 could handle a large volume of queries without really breaking the bank, as it was cost efficient. Then finally, you can talk about security and compliance. OpenAI's enterprise-grade security met our strict data privacy and regulatory requirements. Saying all of this shows that you're not just picking a model because it's popular, you're actually making a thoughtful, business-driven decision. Then you can talk about the model considered and their pros and cons. Now you could say that you evaluated several models, which included Claude 2, Llama 2, Mistral, and Command R+. So here's just a quick breakdown. Claude 2 is strong in safety and alignment, but it's slightly weaker in reasoning compared to ChatGPT 4. You could talk about Llama, how it is open source and customizable, but it requires significant fine-tuning to match GPT-4's performance. You could talk about using Mistral as well, which is lightweight and fast, but it struggled with complex queries. So make sure you give a reasonable explanation for all the other models that you have used. Lastly, Command R Plus was optimized for document search tasks, but it lacked general reasoning capabilities. Now, while all these models had their strengths, GPT-4 stood out as the best overall choice for our use case. This demonstrates your ability to evaluate trade-offs and make informed decisions, to make sure the interviewer knows that you have researched on all of the other models and its pros and cons. Now, the final decision of why you chose ChatGPT, you could just summarize your entire thing. So you could talk about how it's best in class in reasoning and accuracy. It outperformed other models in domain-specific tests. And then you can talk about how minimal fine-tuning was needed. You could say that few-shot learning reduced training costs by a margin. You could talk about how it had a robust API and ecosystem, as OpenAI's well-documented APIs made integration faster and much easier. You could also talk about enterprise-grade security. You could say that it met our firm's strict compliance requirements. Then you could end with future-proofing, as OpenAI's rapid improvements meant that you could benefit from the upgrades without really rebuilding the model. This shows that you are thinking long-term and considering both the technical and the business factors as well. Now finally, you could talk about how you enhance GPT-4's performance. You could say to the interviewer that to further improve GPT-4, you combined it with retrieval augmented generation. Now RAG is a key word, and you could say that RAG allowed the model to retrieve real-time verified information from internal knowledge bases. You could say that significantly reduced hallucinations and ensured that the responses were accurate and contextually relevant. This overall highlights your ability to innovate and optimize even the best models for your specific use cases. So to summarize, always start with the business needs, explain why your model selection is critical for your use case, and make sure you compare all of the models objectively. Highlight the pros and cons of each of the options that you have looked at. Then you can justify your decision. Try to clearly explain why you chose that model and what were the use cases for it. And also mention if you added anything on top of the model. Like in this case, we added RAG. You could mention any enhancements or optimizations that you actually made. Try to keep it concise. Don't go into much detail. Just try to give an overview so that the interviewer knows that you have got your things together. And that's how you could confidently explain your approach to model selection in an AI product manager interview. It's all about showing that you could balance technical expertise with business acumen as well. So now let's move on to the next question. So this question basically is, how do you prioritize AI product features? Now, this is a critical skill for any AI product manager because you're constantly trying to balance the user needs, business goals, and technical feasibility. So let's break it down step by step. You'll talk about prioritizing the AI product features. So first we'll talk about why prioritization even matters. When you are building an AI product, you'll have a long list of potential features. But not all of them are equally important. You need a structured approach to decide what to build first. And here's how you could do it. Start by defining the clear objectives with stakeholders. Like saying what you are trying to achieve. Then you could reuse a prioritization framework. You could try to evaluate all of the features objectively. Then you can talk about considering AI-specific challenges, like data availability, model performance, and even latency. Then you can finally iterate based on the continuous feedback. Priorities can change over time as you learn more from the users. This ensures that you're delivering maximum value while staying aligned with business goals and technical constraints. Now let's talk about the frameworks. You could talk about how you prioritize each features. And you could talk about your favorite prioritization methods. The first one being RICE scoring. Now, RICE stands for reach, impact, confidence, and effort. And you score each feature based on its reach, meaning how many users will benefit from it, its overall impact, meaning how much value it will add, and its confidence as well, meaning how sure are you about its success. Then you can talk about its effort, which is what's the cost in time and resources. For example, you could say that in one project, auto summarization scored 10.08, while the custom model fine-tuning scored 6.56. You could say that this helped us focus on the highest impact features first. Then you could talk about the Moscow method. Now, this framework categorizes features into must-have, should-have, could-have, and won't-have. Must-have is just critical for the MVP. Should-have means it is important but not urgent. Could-have is just nice-to-have features. and won't have is just deprioritized for now. This is great for planning an MVP and ensuring that you deliver the essentials first. Then you could talk about the Kano model. You could talk about how this model helps understand user satisfaction by categorizing features into basic needs, meaning the features that user expects, like accurate AI responses. You could talk about its performance needs, meaning more is equal to better for speed optimization. And then you can talk about the delighters, which are surprising features that enhance user satisfaction, which could be a voice-based assistant. You could say that this helps you balance user expectations with innovative features as well. Using all of these frameworks ensure that you're making data-driven decisions. Then you can talk about the use case example, prioritizing features for an AI-powered document processing tool. Now make sure you frame your answer in a way that you say the interviewer, let's take a look at real-world examples. So imagine that you are building an AI tool for financial services company to extract insights from user reports. Here's how you could prioritize all of the features. The first step is feature evaluation using RICE. You could say that we considered features like auto extraction of key financial metrics, like AI-generated summaries, sentiment analysis, customizable templates, and anomaly detection. Using RICE scoring, auto extraction of key metrics came out on top, while anomaly detection was deprioritized due to high effort and low demand. You could talk about step 2, which is Moscow for MVP planning. Now, for the MVP, we categorize the features into must-have, meaning auto extraction of the key metrics. You could talk about what it should have, meaning AI-generated summaries. You could talk about what it could have, meaning sentiment analysis, and what it won't have, which we discussed as anomaly detections for now. You could say that this ensured that we delivered most critical features first. The next step you could talk about is the AI-specific challenges. You could say that we also considered AI-specific challenges like data availability, model performance, and latency. For example, you could say that we fine-tuned and pre-trained model for financial jargon and optimized for real-time extraction. Then you can talk about the fourth step, which is measuring success. You could say that the results were really impressive, as you got 85% adoption within a month, and you could say how the precision improved with user feedback. You could say that the analysts saved around 40% of their time using this. Then you could end it by saying that this showed that we delivered both user value and business impact as well. To summarize, here are key tips. You could begin by using a whole structured framework like we discussed, like the RICE, Moscow, and Kano. Make sure to choose only one. Don't mention all of the 3 frameworks. Make sure you choose one and give the reasoning behind it. Try to align it with all of the business goals. Always tie features back to revenue, cost savings, and efficiency. Talk about how you considered the AI-specific challenges like data quality, model performance, and even latency. And then you could iterate based on feedback. You could mention how priorities can change as you learn more from the users. And finally, show the measurable impact. Highlight how your prioritization delivered actual value. This is how you can confidently explain your approach to prioritizing AI product features in an interview. It's all about showing what you can balance competing priorities and delivering the real value. Now with this, we can move on to the next question. This question is basically how you could assess whether LLMs are suitable for a specific business problem. Now this is a critical skill for any AI product manager, because not every problem requires an LLM, and using one where it's not needed can help with cost and inefficiency. So now let's break it down step by step. Now first step would be defining the whole business problem. You need to clearly define the problem that you're trying to solve. So ask yourself these 3 things. What is the core business challenge? For example, it could be about improving efficiency, reducing costs, or even enhancing decision making. Then ask yourself, what role can AI actually play in this? Ask yourself, can it actually automate tasks, improve accuracy, or provide insights? Then the third question to ask yourself is, what are the key metrics involved in this? So try to think of accuracy, cost savings, speed, and user satisfaction. Now, for example, if you're automating customer support, your entire goal might be reducing the response time and support costs. Or if you're building a legal document review tool, you might aim to save time and reduce overall errors. So this step ensures that you're solving the right problem, and this sets the stage for evaluating whether LLMs are a good fit or not. Next, we will double down on what we said earlier, asking if LLMs are a good fit or not. So you could talk about the key factors that you have to consider. So you could start with complexity of language understanding. Now, LLMs are great for tasks that require deep contextual understanding, like summarization or conversational AI. But for simple tasks like structured data classification, it might be a bit of overkill. Then you can talk about the data availability and quality. So ask yourself, do you have enough high quality data to fine tune the model? For example, internal knowledge chatbots work well because you already have access to the relevant data. But if your dataset is too small or unstructured, fine tuning it might be too expensive or even impractical at some points. Then you can talk about the performance and accuracy requirements. Now, LLMs are a good fit for low risk applications like content generation, but for high accuracy tasks like medical diagnosis, they might not be reliable enough. And then you can talk about the cost versus ROI analysis. ROI just means return on investment, and you can say how you consider the cost of using LLMs versus the potential return on investment. For example, automating customer support might have a high ROI, but an internal tool with low usage might not just justify the cost. This entire step helps you avoid using LLMs where they're not really needed or cost effective. Now, the step 3 would be choosing the right LLM approach and risk considerations. Now, once you've decided that LLMs are a good fit, you need to choose the right approach. And here are the few options that we have. The first one being zero-shot learning. Now, this requires no training at all and it's really fast to deploy, but it may lack domain-specific accuracy in case you do get those type of outputs. This uses prompts instead of fine-tuning, but it can be really inconsistent due to the high amount of API calls that it has. Then you could talk about fine-tuning a pre-trained model. Now, this is great for domain-specific tasks and could improve accuracy by a margin, but it requires labeled data, which could be really expensive as well. Then you could double down on RAG. You could say that retrieval augmented generation reduced hallucinations by retrieving real-time information. But this, as we know, requires an external knowledge base. You also need to consider ethical and compliance risks, like bias, fairness, and data privacy. So ensure that the model complies with GDPR or HIPAA if you're handling sensitive data. This step ensures that you're choosing the right approach and mitigating all of the risks. Finally, you need to validate your solution through pilot testing. And here's how you could do it. We have A/B testing first, so try to compare the LLM solutions using the existing methods to measure its overall impact. You could also talk about the user feedback loops. So try to gather feedback to refine the solution and ensure that it meets user needs. You could talk about metrics tracking, like track the key metrics like accuracy, adoption, and ROI to evaluate its overall success. Then you can take a look at a real-world example. You could say that we built an AI-powered legal document review assistant to help lawyers analyze contracts way faster. You could say that before AI took around 4 to 6 hours per contract, and after implementing the whole LLM solution, it just took 1.5 hours. With an error rate dropping from 12% to less than 3%. You could talk about how the adoption rate was over 90% within 3 months and how the company saved $2 million in overall cost savings. So try to use as much as numerical data as possible because it actually shows that you have proof of all of the outputs. This shows how pilot testing and real-world validation can prove the value of your solution. Now here's just a quick summary. Always start off with the problem, try to clearly define the business challenge and the success metrics, and evaluate this LLM suitability. Consider the language complexity, data availability, accuracy, and overall cost. Then you can talk about how you chose the right approach. Talk about the different methods, talk about the different approaches like zero-shot, few-shot, fine-tuning, or even RAG. Then you could end it how using A/B testing, user feedback, and metrics. Then you can talk about how you validated it using pilot testing. Talk about the A/B testing, user feedback, and metrics to prove the solution's value. And that's how you could confidently assess whether LLMs are suitable for a specific business problem. And it's all about showing that you can make informed strategic decisions that deliver real value. Now with this, let's move on to the next question. So this question is just asking you, how do you collaborate with engineering teams to design and deploy AI solutions? Now this is a critical skill for an AI product manager. Because building an AI solution is a whole team effort. You can't just do it alone. It's all about aligning business goals, user needs, and technical feasibility. So we're going to break it down step by step. Start by defining the whole business problem again. So you could say to the interviewer that the first step is to clearly define the problem and align everyone on the goals. Here's how you could do it. So talk about the stakeholder alignment. Gather input from users, legal teams, business leaders, and engineers. Everyone needs to be on the same page for this. Define the user metrics, define the success metrics, establish KPIs to measure the AI's impact, For example, the accuracy, latency, and the adoption rate. Talk about the technical discovery as well. Collaborate with engineers to assess the feasibility and constraints. So, for example, let's say that lawyers are spending around 4 to 6 hours manually reviewing contracts. Your goal might just to reduce the contract review time by 50% while also ensuring 90% accuracy. This step ensures that you're solving the right problem and sets clear expectations for success. Next, you need to evaluate technical feasibility and design the AI system. Here's how you could do it. So evaluate whether you have the right data. For example, do you have enough legal contracts and case laws to train the model? And the next step would be selecting the model approach. Decide between using pre-trained LLMs like GPT-4 or fine-tuning domain-specific models like legal BERT or retrieval augmented generation. Then you can plan the system architecture. Saying that you worked with engineers to design the end-to-end pipeline would be key. You could say that from data ingestion to model training and deployment. So for example, in a legal AI project, you might use legal BERT fine-tuned on legal data. You could add RAG for semantic search, and you could build an infrastructure using tools like Apache Tika for pre-processing and FAISS for vector search and fast API for real-time search. This step ensures that the solution is technically sound and scalable. Now it's time to build the MVP, which means minimum viable product. So you could focus on the core functionality and the rapid prototyping. For example, the MVP might extract key clauses from the contracts. It could collect the user feedback to easily refine the model and improve its whole user experience. You could also optimize the model, so meaning fine-tuning the model improves accuracy. For example, fine-tune legal BERT on legal data to achieve 92% clause extraction accuracy, and optimizing latency may reduce response times from 15 seconds to 5 seconds using model distillation. Then you can talk about deploying the solution, saying that using A/B testing to compare the AI solution with manual pre-processing. For example, you could show how AI assistant contract review is much faster and more accurate than human reviews. These two steps ensure that you're delivering value quickly and iterating based on feedback. So finally, you need to deploy the solution and continuously learn from it. Here's how you could do it. You could talk about MLOps deployment, using tools like Docker and Kubernetes for scalable deployment, and also real-time monitoring. You could talk about tracking performance metrics like latency and accuracy drift, and user feedback using tools like Prometheus and Grafana. In user education and trust, you could add features like explainability and confidence scores to build trust with all of the users. And you can talk about the scaling use cases, expanding the solution to new areas like regulatory compliance checks or employment contracts. For example, in the legal AI project, you could say you already said that adoption increased to 92% after adding explainability features. And you can talk about how the solution was expanded from NDAs to risk assessments and employment contracts. This step ensures that the solution evolves with user needs and business goals. Now, here's a quick summary to help you answer the question effectively. Start with the problem again. This is a recurring theme. Make sure you start with the problem and clearly define the business challenge and success metrics. Based on the question, emphasize that you actually collaborated with engineers and aligned on technical feasibility and system design. Talk about how you built an MVP by focusing on core functionality and iterations based on feedback. Then you can talk about the deployment as well as the continuous iteration, how you monitored performance and expanded the use cases over time. And that's how you could confidently explain your approach to collaborating with engineering teams to design and deploy your AI solutions. It's all about showing how you could bridge the gap between businesses, users, and technical needs to deliver real value. Now let's move on to the next question. Now this question is basically, how do you gather feedback to improve AI-powered products? Now this is a critical skill as well for an AI product manager because AI systems are never perfect. They need continuous improvement based on real-world usage. So let's try to break this down step by step. So now, before collecting feedback, you need to define the clear objectives. So ask yourselves what you are trying to improve. Is it accuracy, usability, trust, or adoption? And then also define what your success metrics are. Think of precision, recall, the customer satisfaction, which is also called as the CSAT, or retention. Ask yourselves who are the key users. Focus on power users, new users, and even edge cases. So an example goal would be, if you are building an AI-powered legal document search tool, your goal might be to reduce the irrelevant search by 30%. This step ensures that you're gathering feedback with the purpose of measuring the right things. Now, next you need to collect feedback using a mix of methods. And here are the 4 approaches that we recommend. You could track how users interact with your AI products. For example, if lawyers are modifying their search queries frequently, it might indicate retrieval issues. So tools like Google Analytics or Mixpanel can help you gather these insights. Then also talk about the active feedback. Ask users directly for feedback through surveys or in-app ratings. For example, if a user gives a low rating score to certain AI chatbot responses, you can flag those for retraining. You could also talk about the interactive feedbacks. So conducting one-on-one sessions with users to uncover pain points. For example, lawyers might request citation links in AI-generated summaries to build more trust. And finally, you can talk about the implicit feedback. Now, use AI confidence scores to detect low confidence predictions and flag them for review. For example, if the AI's confidence in summarizing a document is below 60%, you might have a human review it. So this step ensures that you're gathering feedback from multiple angles and getting a complete picture. Now, the next step is prioritizing implement feedback for AI improvements. So now you need to prioritize and implement the feedback, and here's how you could do it. Dividing it into 3 categories, the first one being high priority. So focus on critical issues like the AI hallucinations, incorrect interpretations, or even ethical concerns. The ones in medium priority are addressing usability issues or minor accurate improvements. Finally, the low priority ones are just saving the non-impactful changes, like minor UX preferences for later. So for example, if you're abandoning your AI tools due to irrelevant search results, you might prioritize fine-tuning the retrieval system. So this step ensures that you're focusing on the most impactful improvements first, rather than the low priority ones. Now, the next step is continuous AI model improvement and real-world example. So finally, you need to create a continuous feedback loop for improving your AI product. So we talked about this before, but let me just summarize it once again. You could talk about A/B testing for improvements before rolling them on towards users. You can iterate on model retraining and adding better training data based on feedback, and you can monitor the AI drift. Use tools to detect and prevent performance degradation over time. Now let's look at a real-world example. So this is what you could see. That we built an AI-powered legal search tool, but adoption was really low because of irrelevant search results. You could talk about how you improved it. So you talk about gathering feedback, saying that you tracked search queries and added a strong rating system, and conducted interviews and monitored confidence scores. You can talk about the fixes that you have implemented, improving its overall relevance and adding explainability features, and flagged low confidence results. Then the last thing would just be to measure the results. So as I said before, try to use numerical values as much as possible. So you could say anything from how adoption increased from 55% to 90%, and how irrelevant results dropped by 40%. And how the lawyers or the users trusted the AI more because you added the citation links. So here's the summary and the key tips. So always start off with the clear goals, define what you want to improve and what success you want to measure, and try to use multiple feedback methods. Try to combine passive, active, interactive, and implicit feedback, and try to prioritize based on feedback. Focus on the high priority issues always first. Then you can talk about how you created a whole feedback loop by continuously testing and iterating towards and monitoring your AI product. And at the end, always end off with an example to demonstrate how feedback led to measurable improvements. That's how you could confidently explain your approach to gathering feedback to improve AI-powered products. It's all about showcasing you can listen to users, prioritize effectively, and deliver continuous improvement. With this, now we can move on to the next question. Now, this is one of the most important questions that an interviewer might ask you, which is outlining your process for creating a roadmap for an AI product. Now, this is also one of a critical skill for an AI product manager because building AI products is complex, and a well-structured roadmap ensures that you're balancing business goals, technical feasibility, and user needs. So let's break it down step by step. The first step is to define your AI product's vision and goals. So ask yourself, what is the problem that you are solving? For example, if you're reducing manual work and improving accuracy, or if you're enabling faster decision making, and then what are the success measures that you are taking? So think about accuracy, adoption, ROI, and the efficiency gains. Then you can talk about who are the stakeholders. So collaborating with business leaders, engineers, and data scientists, and the end users to align on your goals. So for example, if you're building a contract review assistant, your goal might be to reduce manual contract review time by 50% while achieving 90% accuracy in clause extraction. This step ensures that everyone is aligned on the product's purpose and the success criteria. Now, next you need to break down the roadmap into clear phases and milestones. Here's a typical structure, the first one being data collection and exploration. So here you will set up data pipelines to collect and clean data for training. And the second step is model development. So in this step, you'll be training an initial AI model on labeled data to create an MVP. The third step is model validation. So use in the human loop testing to ensure the predictions are accurate. The fourth one being pilot deployment. So you could launch a beta version with a small group of users just to test how the overall AI works. And once the pilot deployment is done, you have the full deployment, which is retaining the model over time based on the new data and feedback. Then you have full deployment, meaning scale the AI across all teams once it is validated. And the final step is continuous improvement. In this step, you can retrain the model over time based on new data and feedback. Now, why this approach? Because this phased approach ensures that you move from proof of concept to production-ready solutions while also de-risking the deployment process. Now you need to prioritize features and create a whole timeline, and here's how you could do it. You could consider the business values, user demand, and model maturity, and technical feasibility. So for example, auto-extracting key clauses might be a high priority feature because it has high reach and impact. So again, like we mentioned, trying to use frameworks like RICE scoring, which is reach, impact, confidence divided by effort, to objectively evaluate all of the features. And then you have the whole roadmap timeline example. You could create a timeline that maps out each phase. For example, in month 1 and 2, this is where you will be handling the data pipeline setup. In months 3 and 4, that will mainly be for MVP model training. And from the months 5 to 6, will be pilot deployment and the overall full launch. This whole roadmap will ensure that you're focusing on the most impactful features and delivering them on time. Finally, you need to gather feedback and iterate on the roadmap. And here's how you could do that. The first one being user interviews and testing. You can gather feedback on AI performance and the pain points from users. And you can also track accuracy and performance using real-time dashboards. Here as well, A/B testing is used to test the different AI versions before the full rollout to ensure the improvements. So here's the example. Now in the contract review assistant project, phase 1 was where we labeled 100,000 contracts for training. Phase 2 was where we fine-tuned the legal BERT for clause extraction. And phase 3 is where we deployed AI for 20% of legal teams for validation. In phase 4, we scaled all of the teams, reducing the review time by 50%. And finally, phase 5, we retrained the model every 3 months based on the overall feedback. Now the results were pretty clear. The AI adoption increased to 85% and the accuracy improved from 75% to 92% through user feedback. This step ensured that your AI product evolves with user needs. So when you are answering this question, start off with the overall vision. Clearly define the problem, goals, and the success metrics, and try to break it down into phases. Try to use milestones to de-risk the entire structure and development process. And after that, you can prioritize which features matter. So focus on high impact, feasible features first. And then you can try to create a timeline and map out where each phrase will be worked on and where each feature will be delivered. And finally, you can iterate back through feedback by continuously improving the roadmap and the overall product. And that's how you can confidently explain your approach to creating a roadmap for an AI product. It's all about showing that you can balance business goals, technical feasibility, and user needs to deliver real value. So now let's move on to the next question. Now in the next question, the interviewer basically is asking, how do you evaluate the success of an AI application? Now, as an AI product manager, because success isn't just about technical performance, it's about balancing the business impact as well as the user experience, we have to break it down step by step. So first you need to define the key categories for evaluating the AI success. This typically falls into 3 buckets. The first one being about model performance metrics. Now this is about how well an AI performs technically. The key metrics includes accuracy, meaning how often does the AI actually provide correct predictions. The second one is precision and recall. This means minimizing false positives and false negatives. The F1 score is all about balancing precision and recall for overall readability. And finally, AI drift monitoring is about tracking performance degradation over time. Now, for example, in an AI contract review tool, you might aim for 90+% of clause extraction accuracy and a false positive rate of less than 5%. The second evaluation category is business impact metrics. This is all about the tangible value that the AI delivers to the business. Now, the key metrics include time saved, meaning how much manual effort is actually reduced, and cost savings, which means how much of the operation costs are reduced. We have productivity gains as well, meaning how much efficient are the users by using your product. And the revenue impact is the AI driving increased revenue. So for example, a legal document search tool might save around 4 hours per contract review and reduce the annual cost by around $500,000. The third evaluation category is user experience and adoption metrics. This is about how the user interacts with and perceives the AI. The key metrics in this includes adoption rate, meaning what percentage of users are actively using the AI. We also have the retention rate, meaning are users sticking with AI over time. We have the user satisfaction scores as well, which is the CSAT and the NPS. This overall shows how happy are the users with the AI. Finally, we have trust and explainability. This means, do the users actually trust the AI's output? So for example, adding explainability features to a legal AI chatbot, the adoption rates might increase from anywhere from 55% to 90%, and the user ratings might improve to 4.5 out of 5% after you add all of the explainability features. This step ensures that you're evaluating success from all angles, which either could be technical, business, or even the user focused. Now next, you need to set the clear benchmarks for success. These benchmarks should align with your business needs and provide a baseline for measuring progress. For example, for an AI contract review assistant, your benchmarks might look like this. So for clause extraction accuracy, the baseline will be 78% and the target will be 90+%. The false positive rates will be from baseline 12% to target less than 5%. The total time saved per review was the baseline for that was previously 6 hours, but your target would be less than 3 hours. The user adoption rate, the baseline was 50%, but you're targeting for 80+%. And the legal cost reduction, the baseline was $0, but the target is around $500,000. So clear benchmarks allows you to track progress effectively and ensure that the alignment is there with the business goals. Now you need to implement a continuous monitoring and feedback loop to ensure that the AI stays on track. And here's how you could do it. First, we have the real-time AI monitoring tools. So use tools like MLflow and weights and biases to track the model performance. For example, if accuracy drops from 92% to 85% due to legal updates, you could fine-tune the model and new contracts to restore accuracy up to 90%. The second one is user analytics. So you could track adoption and usage with tools like Google Analytics or Mixpanel. For example, if adoption rates drop, you might investigate usability issues or lack of trust in AI. The third one is business KPIs. So monitoring business impact with tools like Tableau or Power BI, for example, track cost savings or productivity gains to ensure that the AI is actually delivering value. This step ensures that you're continuously improving the AI and addressing issues as they arise. Now let's take a look at a real-world example. So you could say that we built an AI assistant contract analysis tool for lawyers, and here's how you extracted or measured the success. The first one being clause extraction. You could say how you improved the accuracy from 75% to 95% and the eventual time saved by it too. You could say that this review time reduced by 50%, which was from 6 hours to 3 hours. The cost saving annually as planned was saved $500,000, and this increased the adoption rate by 50% to 85%, and the overall user score, which is the user trust, improved to 4.6 out of 5 after adding the explainability features. The whole outcome was that the AI became a trusted tool for lawyers, increasing both efficiency and accuracy. And the final takeaway was that you could combine the metrics. So you could use technical, business, and user adoption metrics for a comprehensive view. You could set benchmarks, meaning defining clear targets for success. And then you could also monitor and retrain the AI to prevent decline. Eventually focusing on trust, which is the user trust and explainability, as they are crucial for accuracy. So here are key tips while answering this question to try to evaluate holistically. So try to have a balance between technical performance and business impact and the user experiences. Try to set clear benchmarks. Try to define what success actually looks like for your AI application. And then following through, you could monitor it continuously, like using tools to track performance and gather feedback. And then you can show the real world impact that it had, using examples to demonstrate the measurable success. That's how you can confidently explain your approach to evaluating the success of an AI application. It's all about showing that you can balance technical performance, business impact, and user experience to deliver real value. Now let's move on to the next question. Now this is the final question, that is, how do you ensure AI compliance with ethical and security standards? Now this is a critical skill for an AI product manager because AI systems must not only perform but also be fair, transparent, and secure. So let's break it down step by step. The first step is establishing an ethical guideline from the start. This ensures that your AI system aligns with regulatory requirements and builds trust with users. Here's how you could do it. The first one is aligning with the ethical AI frameworks. So following guidelines like GDPR and the EU Act, you could adopt principles of fairness, accountability, and transparency, such as the Google's AI principles. You could also define what are the ethical guardrails. For example, try to mitigate bias by ensuring that your training data is representative. Ensure explainability so users can understand the AI decisions. And try to implement the human-in-the-loop systems, which is also known as HITL, mostly for high-risk areas. This is where the AI assists rather than replacing human decision-making. So for example, in an AI-powered hiring tool, we audited training data to ensure that there is fair demographic representation, and that's how you prevent bias. This step ensures that your AI system is ethical and trustworthy right from the get-go. Next, you need to ensure data privacy and security. This is critical for compliance and user trust. Here's how you could do it. As we talked about earlier, trying to comply with regulations like the GDPR, CCPA, and HIPAA, you could implement data minimization. You could only collect the data that you need. And after when you get the data you need, you could secure the data collection and storage. You could encrypt the training data using various algorithms for storage and transmission. You could use anonymization and differential privacy to prevent identification, and then you could implement role-based access control to restrict data access. Now, for example, in an AI document analysis tool, we can enforce on-premise deployments to ensure compliance with client confidentiality agreements. This step ensures that your AI system protects user data and meets regulatory requirements. Now, next you need to build a fair, bias-free AI model that ensures explainability. Here's how you could do that. The first point is diverse and representative training data. You can audit your data for skewed representation and use synthetic data to balance the underrepresented groups. Using algorithmic fairness testing, you can use tools like the AI Fairness 360 to perform bias audits. As we discussed earlier, conducting A/B testing across diverse demographics ensures fairness. You can also talk about the explainability tools as well. Using tools like SHAP, LIME, and model cards to explain the AI decisions. This shows confidence scores for AI predictions to build the user trust. You can also enable the user oversight. This allows users to challenge AI decisions and implement human review for critical outputs. This step ensures that your AI system is fair, transparent, and overall user-friendly. Finally, you need to implement a strong security measure and conduct continuous monitoring. Here's how you could do that. Your first goal should be preventing the model attacks. You could defend against data poisoning and prompt injection attacks by using input validation and anomaly detection to secure inputs. You could encrypt the AI's APIs to prevent unauthorized access. The second step is securing the model hosting and APIs. So try to deploy the AI models in a secure environments like a private cloud or even on-premise. You could implement rate limiting and authentication to protect the APIs from overuse. Then you can also conduct quarterly bias audits and security reviews to establish AI governance and dedicated compliance teams. So for example, in a legal tech product, you could say that we've implemented regular audits to ensure the GDPR and the SOC 2 compliance. This step ensures that your AI systems remain secure and compliant over time. Here's a quick recap of the key takeaways. Try to follow the ethical AI frameworks. When you're answering to the interviewer, make sure you're talking about the guidelines in detail. Prioritize that you're protecting the user data. Make sure to tell the interviewer that you're using encryption and anonymizing the access control. You can also talk about how you are preventing bias in predictions and ensuring fairness. And be transparent with the whole thing. Try to use explainability tools to build trust. Then you can talk about how you could implement a strong security, trying to defend against attacks and monitor continuously. And that's how you can confidently explain your approach to ensuring AI compliance with ethical and security standards. It's all about showing how can you build AI systems that are not only powerful, but also fair and transparent. And that's a wrap. We just covered 10 must-know questions for your AI product manager interview. And now it's your turn to get practicing. Thanks for watching until the end. And as promised, here's your free gift, which is a downloadable interview question and answers guide for your next AI/ML interview. Just click the link in the description below to grab your free copy. And before you do, make sure to click on this video right here, where our expert Atul sir will give you an overview of the different types of questions that we have in the guide. It's a must watch before you start downloading the guide. So make sure to click on it, and with this, I'll see you all in the next video.